And viewers, on to our top focus story for the day. UK police is searching two addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk following the arrest of former UK Prince Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor on suspicion of misconduct in public office after investigations made by Thames Valley Police. Revelations from the Jeffrey Epstein files suggest Andrew may have sent potentially confidential documents to the convicted sex offender while serving as a UK trade envoy. Police have said investigation and searches at the addresses are ongoing as they review evidence. The case follows increasing scrutiny of Andrew's public and private dealings. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor became the first senior royal in modern history to be arrested. The arrest occurred on his 66th birthday and followed a police raid at his Wood Farm residence on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, where plainclothes officers and unmarked vehicles were seen. Without confirming the identity of the man arrested, the police statement read, "A man in his 60s from Norfolk has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office." As per many international media reports, it is in fact former Prince Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor who remains in police custody in relation to the case and has strongly denied any wrongdoing. Assistant Chief Constable Oliver Wright said the investigation was opened after a thorough assessment, emphasizing the need to protect its integrity and objectivity. At the moment, the UK police have warned against publishing material that could lead to contempt of court and promised updates at the appropriate time. Keith Walls, former British Minister, live from the newsroom, is with us. Thanks very much, Keith. It's a pleasure to have you here at NewsX. Big development coming in, a precedent really being set by the United Kingdom. First time that a monarch has been arrested, and that too in connection with the Epstein files. What's your first take?
I think firstly we have to understand that this is the start of the process. There is no question that this is a hugely important day, and this is a bombshell that has happened in terms of the news. No one would have expected that the brother of the king, the son of the late queen, someone who is in line to the throne, would have been arrested by the police for any offence. This is a specific offence. It's a narrow offence which will require the police to investigate this very carefully. The point of arresting a suspect is you then have to be able to comment. They can comment on what's happened. They will of course be entitled to legal representation, and then the decision will be made by the Crown Prosecution Service, which is a completely separate body, which acts actually bizarrely in the name of the king. That's why it's called the Crown Prosecution Service, that will decide whether or not to actually prosecute. This is a very serious offence, and at the moment he's been arrested but not charged, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
So after the interview has happened, he will then be released on bail, because everyone will know where he is and everyone knows who he is. He's one of the most famous men in Britain, and people have known him from his birth, so they know who he is. So I would imagine there will be no difficulty in his legal representatives getting bail for him. What happens after that is something that we will have to see what the police say, but it's important not to comment during the middle of these investigations. But in terms of a news story, it is obviously absolutely massive.
It's also interesting how the police have not named him yet, have only said that a man in his 60s has been arrested. So clearly a lot has been done to protect the identity of the former prince. But let's also remind our viewers, he has been stripped of his royal titles. How do you weigh this extraordinary treatment being meted out to him? Because let's be real, at this point in time, when he is arrested, he is not holding a royal title.
Well, that's what the police normally do. The police don't say X, Y, and Z have been arrested normally. That's exactly what they do. They say a person and they give an age. But obviously someone has leaked this information to the press, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about it. I don't think that there is another man in their mid-60s in Norfolk who they're talking about. I think this particular man. And I would have imagined that they would have done this very carefully. As you know, he's recently moved out of the Windsor Castle estate at very, very short notice. They would have almost certainly informed the king. I can't imagine them, this is me guessing, but I can't imagine them not to have told him. And I would imagine the Prime Minister would know, because after all, Andrew, whether he is Prince Andrew or Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, is still in line to the throne of England. Way down the list, of course, but he still potentially could become the King of England. So for all those reasons, I think they are just following their normal protocol. They never announce who a suspect is until after they've charged the suspect. If he is charged, of course, he will be named.
Right, Mr. Vaz, now the Epstein files itself, they've opened a Pandora's box. Do you think the details that could now emerge from the interview of Andrew by the police could reveal more details, particularly as far as his ties with Ghislaine Maxwell are concerned? Already there is public knowledge of the fact that they were college buddies. They knew each other from back in the day when they were studying together. What more do you think can really come out from this investigation of the former prince?
I like the way you use the phrase Pandora's box. This is not a box anymore. This is an ocean of files. Millions and millions of files cannot even begin to fit into a box of whatever size. It's huge, and there are still more. As we know, there are still millions of files that are being held by the Justice Department that have not been released. So goodness knows what else is going to be in those files when they are released. If the police take a statement from Andrew, they will not release that statement. The first time we will hear what he says is if it gets to court. There's no guarantee that it will. There is a due process of law here, which the police will follow very, very carefully. They will not cut corners, they will not do anything differently. This will all be done according to agreed steps, and we will not see those statements anyway until the trial, if there is going to be a trial. And we don't know until the police prepare a file, give it to the Crown Prosecution Service, and they decide they're going to prosecute. It's going to be at least, I think, a year before we know whether there's going to be a trial or not. This is my guess as a former lawyer of many, many years ago, so, you know, I'm not practicing on this, but there is a process that they will follow very carefully.
Right. Also, it's the first time that a former prince's residences are being searched now. What kind of precedence is this going to set? And what do we really know about, as of now, whether he's still in touch with his brother, the king, or do you think they've safely distanced themselves from the accused?
I don't know. They're siblings, and they, according to, you know, reports, we don't know for fact because they don't talk about this. They have not. They're not. They may be brothers, but they're not buddies. And of course, there was that standoff over whether or not Royal Lodge would be handed back to the Crown. So, as far as we've seen, and as far as we glean, when Prince Andrew wants to ring the king, he doesn't pick up the phone and ring him. He has to go to his private secretary, when he had one, who talks to the king's private secretary, who tells the king and all that kind of stuff. So we don't know. We're all speculating. We've no idea whether or not they've been in touch with each other. I would think that the most they can do, after all he is his brother, is to make sure he has proper legal representation. And I would imagine and again, this is only a guess, that he would have had his lawyers on hand when the arrest took place. I would imagine that's exactly what has happened.
But take us through, Keith, how did the police really get here to this stage also? Because right now, as you said, and we all know there has been no trial. What evidence has really promulgated the police to get to this stage where this man has been arrested?
Well, they will eventually make a statement, I'm sure, because they have to quell these guessing games that are going on, and you and I are both doing the same thing now, and this is happening in news studios all over the world, especially in the United Kingdom. I'm sure they're all asking the same questions. At some stage they're going to have to make a statement, but they're treating him like anyone else. They're not naming him, they're giving his age roundabout, and they are saying that what the likely offence is, which is misconduct in public office. It's a very, very narrow offence. You've got to have willfully abused your position as a public official in order for these charges to be made and for them to stick. This is not about, oh, I had just a conversation, I didn't know what I was saying. It's got to be willful. There's been a new code of conduct, as I've said, on this. So the police will look at this very, very carefully indeed before they take anything else out from it. But there's no doubt this is a huge story which is going to capture the imagination of people of Britain and indeed all over the world.
All right, now as much as it is a disgrace for Andrew, his ex-wife and children would also probably be suffering from the embarrassment that he has brought to the royal family. What kind of protection will be accorded to them, if at all?
I've no idea. I think his wife is no longer a member of the royal family, therefore she's not going to get any protection as such, and his daughters are princesses because that's what they were born, princesses, but the king has decided to leave the titles with them. This is all to do with the archaic historical traditions of United Kingdom royalty, which goes back centuries. So I'm sure they will be notified in the proper way, and they will take whatever action they need to protect themselves. This is not a new story. This is an old story. It's been going on for years, but this is a new and shocking development. What's new about it is the new files that have been released and the new offence that is being talked about, not the old offence which the police would have combed over very carefully in the past.
Mr. Vance, there's also a question on the huge debt that Andrew has on himself as of now. How do you think that is going to be furnished?
I've no idea what his financial circumstances are. One can only guess. As a family, of course, as we know, because this is in the public, as a family, they are one of the richest families in the world. So I would imagine that he will be able to fund this, and I would imagine members of his family would help him, as anyone else would. They wouldn't not do it. You remember famously that when he needed to settle the case that was brought against him, the money was lent to him by his mum, who just happened to be the Queen of England. So it's happened before, and he will get that representation, I'm sure. Because as you say, it's also the reputation of the royal family. And in these circumstances, I would imagine that they will want to help him. But I don't know. Again, we're only speculating. He might have his own resources. He might have his own ability to pay. I have no idea. But I don't think he'll get legal aid because I think that he probably will not be in that category.
All right, Mr. Vance, thanks very much for speaking to us on this. And with that, viewers, we're now going to proceed to news from Russia. Russia has now agreed to establish an